Hi, everybody. This is Noelle from Petitti's Garden Center, and we're here at Oakwood Village. And today we're going to talk to you about the composite plant family. This composite plant family is also known as Asteraceae, or the aster family. So why we want to talk to you about this today is because it is National Pollinator Week. June is actually National Perennial Month. So we're going to talk about some perennial plants that are really, really good for the pollinators today, the composites. And the reason we're talking about these plants is because they have so many wonderful benefits, not only from their shape, their colors, all of those attractive qualities about them, but they are packed full of nectar, which of course is that carbohydrate that all pollinators need, and then also pollen, which is their protein source for pollinators too. So these flowers provide a lot. There are thousands of species of composites, or you might know them as daisies or sunflowers or asters. They're all in the same family. And there's estimated to be about 32,000 species of composite type plants. So that's a big family, one of the largest in the plant kingdom. So really, really cool. And we use these plants for all different purposes, everything from obviously ornamental, beautiful cut flowers and things, to attracting those pollinators in our gardens, to medicinal uses and other things. So again, and also edible. Again, thinking of sunflowers and those sunflower seeds we consume and the birds consume as well. So all good things about the composite family. Aster is a Greek word for star, and that refers to that star-shaped flower. It also refers to this type of flower has two types of, I should say, capitulum, or head of the flower, is actually produced or is comprised of two types of special flowers. One is a ray flower, going back to the star, so like a star's ray, if you will. And the ray flower that you see on aster type flowers or composite flowers is the one that's associated with the petal. So as Taylor's taking the video here, this petal is a ray type floret or flower. And you can see right at the base, when you look really close to a petal on a daisy, you can see that flower, that true flower, is all the way at the base where the nectar and also the pollen can be used. Right in the middle of the flower are tubular flowers that are forming a disc. And so that these disc florets that are kind of compacted in here are really, really full of, again, pollen. And that's normally what you see when you look at the center of a daisy, is that yellow eye. And of course, it is full of pollen that the pollinators, again, can eat and use. And so you have your disc florets that are in the center. What's cool about a daisy that you'll find out is that these flowers, all these small flowers, tubular flowers, again, we talk about how tubular flowers are really good for pollinators, but all of these flowers bloom in succession. So daisies can give a very long food, source to the pollinators as they move through. And it starts with the outer petals, of course, opening as flowers, and then it kind of starts in concentric rings. So then you see the inner disc flowers, and they keep on opening and opening and opening to the center of that flower. So that's really cool about your daisies or your asters in general, is that they do open, and obviously you see the petals first and then the central flowers. The other thing that we love about this is that a daisy type flower, or even these large asters, they provide a landing pad for your pollinators. So there's always a place where a butterfly can land, a bee can, of course, land, have a sturdy landing spot, and then, of course, can eat and consume as they need to out of those types of flowers as well. Another thing that's really unusual about the composite family is they have what they call nectar guides. And so bees and butterflies have this sort of X-ray vision, and they can see down into a daisy-like flower. They can actually see where the deepest nectar is. And in their vision, it's kind of like a black area, but it shows all of these ray-type florets right towards the base of the ray-type florets. And then, of course, all of the central disc florets are kind of black. And so when they fly above, they can look down, of course, and see that there's all this nectar that's available to them. So that's a really cool, what I call a superpower for pollinators, those nectar guides that they can see right to their food source, of course. The other thing that's interesting about daisies, and we know this very commonly with sunflowers, and some of the other aster families will move during the day, again, with the sun movement through the sky from east to west. And so you'll see sunflowers commonly will move their heads and so forth. Daisies don't do as much movement as sunflowers do, but there's a little bit of movement. And that pivoting through the day following the sun also makes them sort of reflect the sunlight a lot longer, of course, through the day. And that makes them more attractive to pollinators as well. So there's these really cool qualities about the Composite or Asteraceae family that the pollinators really, really enjoy. Right here in front of me, I have a couple different types of perennial Asteraceae, if you will, aster type plants. There are perennials, of course, mostly herbaceous plants, so soft-tissued plants. You have your perennials, biennials, annual types that we're going to show you today. There are a few woody types out there, but not as plentiful, of course, as your herbaceous types and especially perennial types that we love to grow in Northeast Ohio. This first one here is actually Stokes aster. It's also known as Stokesia. Stokes aster is a very large type of aster flower, of course. Beautiful thin ray florets, and then of course that white eye has those disc florets in the center. This one is called Blue Danube. It is an earlier bloomer for us. Typically in Northeast Ohio, we see it right at the beginning of summer, and really does provide a beautiful sort of lavender periwinkle color with a white center. The daisies that I have right in front of me, this beautiful yellow one is called Goldfinch. I love that their ray florets are sort of very, very feather-like, if you will, like a goldfinch would be. And again, beautiful center, center, nice bright yellow center. This one here is Sweet Daisy Bird. Taylor's giving me the nod because I always mix up this name. But Sweet Daisy Bird is kind of one of your typical beautiful Shasta daisies, beautiful white ray florets or petals on the outside, and of course that lovely yellow disc on the inside. Nice tall stems for cutting. And again, the more you cut the aster family, the more they're going to come and return and continue to bloom for you. So do keep that in mind. There are a lot of perennials out there that are part of this aster family, again, like I mentioned before. And some of them can be a little bit atypical, if you will, because they don't necessarily produce a daisy that we're familiar with. So I was going to show you again, and we've actually shown this combination before, but Cupid's dart is kind of an old-fashioned heirloom perennial out there. But again, look for those petals on the outside or the ray florets, and look at that disc florets on the inside of that Cupid's dart. So this is going to be Contanchi or Cupid's dart. So again, another species of the aster family. Right next to it is combined with some red and some yellow yarrow. And yarrow is, again, an atypical composite flower that works very well for pollinators. It has a lovely herbaceous smell to it, very, very perfumey. Of course, yarrow is used in teas and things like that. But again, these flowers, if you look really close to them, they do sort of have a miniature daisy look. And so the individual flowers do have a few, I'm going to say 5 petals around that little tiny yellow center. So they do have the ray florets along with those tiny disc florets as well. And of course, they're in a cluster or bunch right up above to make them really, really showy. So again, a good plant for sort of that landing pad area, a lot of pollen, a lot of nectar as well. Other plant material, like I mentioned, will take you into the annual house and show you some annual varieties. But again, always keep the back of your mind that these Shasta daisies that we're showing you, yarrow, Cupid's dart, even the Stokes aster, they're sort of early bloomers in the perennial season. And I want you to keep in mind all of those midsummer and late bloomers as well. Things like your true asters that we see later in the summer are wonderful sources for pollen nectar again. And also goldenrod. Goldenrod is one of our highest producing nectar sources, and also your pollen protein sources. And believe me, it is a very, very important staple for our pollinators out there too. So keep that in mind. You want to be growing the aster type or composite type flowers all through the growing season, so you have early, middle, and late sources of, again, the really important pollen and nectar that those pollinators need. Moving to some more popular perennial type composite plants. The coneflower. And we know this is Echinacea. It's their botanical name. There are so many different types. The purple coneflower is your true native. It is native to Ohio, grows very, very well for us. But a lot of those cultivated varieties we call nativars, meaning a cultivated variety of a native plant. And you'll see this with lots of different colors. This is actually salsa red here. And if you look at the coneflower, up close, again, these beautiful ray petals and flowers right at the base of the cone. And then you're just starting to see this little yellow popping up. And that, again, is just the start of those disc flowers producing pollen and nectar for the pollinators. So again, we just start to see that yellow produced on the outside of the cone, and it'll slowly but surely begin to produce more towards the interior of the cone. This one down below is a little bit more orange in color, but it's called red ombre. I do enjoy this flower, as some of these petals actually have a more of like a flute or tubular appearance, and then they tend to open up. So when you have a petal like this that has that tube forming, that's great for the hummingbirds, because now they're looking for that full tube, and they'll come by and again go ahead and eat that nectar that's available to them in the bottom of that tube. So red ombre here is a nice sort of bright yellow, but down below it is going to be kind of a deeper sort of coral red. So that's really beautiful too. And that red ombre variety is going to change as it blooms throughout the season. Again, lots of buds. We're very early for coneflowers right now, but still very, very attractive, good landing pad, good source of pollen as well. Right behind me, we have our black-eyed Susans, and these are actually part of the Dakota series. So these are Rudbeckia, so you might be familiar with that name. All of the black-eyed Susans, there's a couple different varieties. With Dakota, these are more on the Herda, Rudbeckia herda species. So again, native plant of Ohio, beautiful flowering here with those broad golden yellow petals. Again, right at the base, good source of nectar and pollen. And of course, that brownish to black eye, of course, is going to develop more flowers as we go through the season. So again, great perennial plant to grow for the pollinators. Here's another great one, and I know we talk about this a lot, but this is Coreopsis. And Coreopsis is also known as tick seed, particularly this thin leaf variety. Again, the Coreopsis is a native plant of Ohio. You have specific species here. So the species I have in my hands are Zagreb, and then also this one is Uptick. The Uptick series is a lovely floriferous series, very new in the Coreopsis family, and we love them for pollinators. A few more perennials that are wonderful, and a little bit later season here. We do have Helenium, so a Helen's flower. We don't call it sneezeweed anymore. Mardi Gras, this is a beautiful daisy-like, again, Aster composite. This one that I'm standing by, I love this dark foliage. This is called Heliopsis, false sunflower. This is called summer eclipse with the dark foliage here, but you can tell, beautiful daisy that we have. Early bloomers, the blanket flower. This is Arizona red shades, also known as Gaillardia. So we love this plant, especially for those early, kind of hot, sunny areas in the perennial garden. We're also missing things like Joe Pye weed or Eupatorium that are a true aster, but have an atypical flower, more like the yarrow. What else? Oh my gosh, Artemisia. So your little silver mound Artemisia, or if you grow the upright Powys Castle Artemisia, they make those kind of fuzzy little silver flowers. That's an aster, believe it or not. And tarragon. If you grow your herbs, tarragon is an Artemisia. And then also your chamomile is a true aster type flower. So we're inside the annual house, and I wanted to show you some really popular annuals that are also composite flowers. Again, have that typical ray floret and then also disc floret in the center. Bidens. Bidens are a wonderful annual type, but also there are some native wildflowers that are bidens, but this type is an annual for us. It's growing in this combination called Ireland from Proven Winners, but we love the bidens. Again, beautiful yellow ray florets, and then you can start to see those brownish disc florets in the center. So this is a great one. I love growing bidens as well because you'll see the goldfinch kind of land on the basket and come over and start kind of picking out the seeds as they do develop. Another plant in the aster family, dahlias. And we love dahlias, of course. The ones that you really want to look for that are most helpful for your pollinators in particular are ones that have more of an open center. So Taylor, I'm going to show them this one. But if you can see the center of the flower, that's going to be the most helpful, as they'll get, again, the pollen and the nectar from those disc flowers in the middle. Another annual that we'll often see, we've got more dahlias over this way. So again, check out that dahlia. And this is part of Dahlia series, okay? They're more of a miniature type. But again, look at all of these rays around, and then you can see right into the center of that flower for the pollen especially. It's just starting on the outside. So your dahlias are going to be, of course, long bloomers. They do need a little bit of deadheading, and I probably should mention that with the aster family. They do so much better and produce so much more if you can go in and deadhead those flowers as well. Again, remove a spent flower, go down their stem to that main stem or branch on the plant, and then go ahead and cut at the base when this flower is done, and you'll see side shoots and more buds coming out. Another plant, of course, the aster family is famous for is the sunflower. So we have a couple different sunflowers here, single sunflowers. These might be Suncredible. I just want to double check everybody, make sure that we've got the right one. Oops, I'm sorry, Sunfinity on this one. So Sunfinity with the single, again, huge ray florets and then those cute little brown or dark centers there. And you're seeing they're just starting to pop up and produce a little bit of pollen here. Just so you know, these repeat blooming sunflower annuals are really not seed producers. They're not like your classic sunflower. That's what gives them a little bit more energy, of course, to continue to produce new buds and new flowers for you, because they're not pushing energy into their actual seed production in the center, but still really good plants for the pollinators. The doubles that you see in the back, these doubles are nice to have, and there definitely is some nectar to be had here with these because of the ray florets. But a lot of the center, because you can't really see the center and the pollen in the center, that's not going to be the best selection as far as a sunflower is concerned for your pollinators. A few more annuals that are in the aster family, and I'm going to tell you, they're all lovely. Brachiocomb daisy, this one's called Mauve Delight. Cute little daisies, really nice filler. Believe it or not, Dusty Miller. So Dusty Miller is in the Senecio family, and they can produce little yellow disc flowers. So this is a great one to have as well. Always combines well with these other two. Obviously, your marigold, French marigolds with that open center are going to be much better for the pollinators as well than more of those pom-pom types. Those aren't such great as far as producing pollen. And then, of course, your azuratum, and we love that blue azuratum. Nice, beautiful, kind of a little bit different in the azuratum as far as the flower. This one's real similar to Joe Pyeweed when we were talking about atypical aster type flowers. So this one's going to be a good one to grow too. I forgot about the fall mums. Taylor was reminding me, and of course they're not in front of me. So don't forget your fall chrysanthemums, also known as dendranthemum, and they are a great source of late season color and pollen and nectar too. We're still in the annual house, and look at the straw flowers. They're starting to come out. They're usually not an early season blooming annual for us, but definitely when the heat of summer comes, they will start to bloom. They also react with your light conditions too. So when it's usually rainy like it is now, when it's dark, they tend to stay closed. I found one that's open though, so it's not reacting. So your straw flowers are very cool daisy type plants. Obviously these outer florets are really, really kind of crunchy. They have a cool sound to them. So we always have our younger gardeners kind of listen to the straw flower and touch the straw flower. And then the inside, there's a lot of pollen here, a lot of nectar in that yellow eye. Couple different varieties, red and yellow, we have right now from the Dreamtime series. Right next door, of course, these are your Marguerite daisies. So again, annual daisy, kind of short, really nice mounded habit, beautiful green foliage on these daisies. Very, very typical form, capitulum or head there. Really, really wonderful. Again, keep these daisies going. They usually come in pink, white, yellow. To keep them going, you want to make sure that you continue to cut back, trim, and they'll keep on producing for you too. The next one that I have, we love, these are Cosmos, okay? So this pink and white mixture you see here is Apollo mix. It is wonderful. They have those ferny, the ferny foliage here, and then those beautiful aster type flowers. Again, big, really pretty ray florets, so kind of wide petals here. And again, you can see right inside to all that pollen, and I'm actually kind of flipping some of it out so you can see lots of pollen production there. And then this is actually a Cosmos variety too, a little bit more compact here. These are going to be your cosmic Cosmos. Definitely have more like a marigold type habit, but again, look for those large petal and also the disc flowers right in the center. Lots and lots of pollen. I did want to mention that I forgot my cool fact at the beginning when we started talking about the Asteraceae is that there are asters or daisy-like plants all over the world on almost every continent except Antarctica. So do keep that in mind. So many asters out there to enjoy. And again, they're going to be one of your best, most abundant food sources for your pollinators. Whether you want to attract your bees, your butterflies, or your hummingbirds, they will come in and they will definitely enjoy the composite plants. Enjoy.